development of reading habits from the home and the role parents play in encouraging their children.
My parents, my mom used to be a teacher, so reading was obviously part of a curriculum. And then my father used to be a professor and is an author. So I started reading very, very early, and I started reading books that were higher than my age grade. I was reading African writer series from age 7, age 8, and reading encyclopedias by that time. So obviously my parents had a huge part and encouraged that in me.
In the Nigerian book market, there's a high influx of foreign authors writing for children, but very few Nigerian authors telling relatable, homegrown Nigerian stories.
If you start out reading stories even to your baby, even before they're 1, and then as they get older, buy appropriate materials that are colorful, with easy to read words, and read with them. I think that helps.
Adedotun Enyade, a co-founder of Robin Heights, a leading bookstore in Nigeria, has tips for Nigerian authors and how they can improve on their work and get into the hearts of readers.
The story has to be good, right? If you're writing, whatever you're writing, if you're writing fiction, if you're writing non-fiction, it has to be like, really, really compelling, one. Next thing would be like in terms of like the packaging, right? People have gone past the era where you just take your books to just about any printer to print for you. I think, publishers, self-published authors as well, they need to invest in ensuring that the quality of the book, the final output is one that will, stack up with any book, published, elsewhere in the world. So that's really important. Then I think, what would be like the most important tip for me to them would be just, they need to invest in marketing.
The book business, like any other business, is challenging.
If you ask anyone who's running the business in Nigeria, they will tell you capital, of course, right? Book selling is also, as with any other business, is also quite capital intensive. Getting to pay your rent, getting to actually buy the books and stock up like your shelves when you have them. Hiring good people requires decent amount of capital. So I would say it's getting the startup funds to set up something, and then if you're looking to do it at scale like we're hoping to do, then it also requires you raising funding, which isn't readily available in commercial banks, right? I don't think a bank would say they want to give you a loan to set up a bookstore. They probably will be skeptical about the number of people who read. So for us, I think it's just I would say capital is at the top of the totem pole.
It is commendable that certain individuals and organizations are making concerted efforts to revive the reading culture in the country. The government should also redesign the school curriculum to incorporate more reading activities in primary and secondary schools.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to PlusTrending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we are borrowing.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the two vehicles that were completely bad. This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel ticketing structure. A multiple core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Waze, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayome Sally, and today we have the ladies in green. Hi, Isi. Hi, Lami.
It's good to have you back. Yay.
Thank you.
Were you in Abuja? I really missed her.
No. I actually did 2 states in between.
I think what actually got us, you were doing it as if you were not going to come back to us.
I wasn't planning to actually.
You just went on.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't see it though.
Thank you.
Really nice. I called that tailor, and the price the guy gave me.
No, you should have told me now. I will negotiate for you.
Please.
I will negotiate for you. She's amazing. And the thing with Dija is, like, she made this dress. She makes all my dresses. You would think it's ready made.
Absolutely.
And she does it like if I tell Dija I need a dress tomorrow at 7 a.m., it will be ready tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Wow.
She's that good. So everything about my outfit, she takes care of it.
I think I need to go through you then.
Yeah, just come through me. Don't worry. She'll give you very good discount.
I need to do a quick shout out.
Okay, please. What?
Not my godson, but I introduced the parents.
Ooh.
And I remember
wedding anniversary?
No, he turned 18 today. He told me St. Paul, well, happy birthday.
Wow.
Continue to make us proud. And
absolutely.
Your mom. It's unfortunate we can't be there today. He's in
London. Yeah. Wow, you introduced both parents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now he's
I will show you
an adult.
I will show you his mom after the show.
Wow.
Awesome.
She looks like a 17-year-old.
Really?
We went to secondary school together. I just started this exercise like 10 years ago, and you need to see her now.
Wow. Power of consistency.
Whenever I see her in the morning doing her exercise, I run to do mine. So congratulations to me.
Yeah, congratulations. Happy 18th birthday.
From us.
Big boy.
Absolutely.
We love you. We've not seen you, but we love you.
Thank you.
All right, so today, sugar. I honestly didn't want to have this conversation because I'm really drained.
We are all tired.
In fact, a friend of mine said, you know what? I want to send you SPA tickets. You need to go to this because, like, issues around Nigeria is really tired. It drains your energy.
Taxing.
Yeah. And here's what we found as today's quote: bombs and pistols do not make a revolution. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the witty stone of ideas. That's from Baguette Sai.
Sing. Baguette Sing.
Is it Sing or Sai?
Sing.
Whatever.
That's an Indian name.
So, a lot of people have some have called it a revolution. Others say it's a restructuring. For whatever it is, where should we, start from? Where should be the right start?
Yes.
Whether you want to call it a revolution or you want to call it restructuring. That's the conversation for tonight. And Dele Farutimi is here to discuss this. But first, we'll take a break to see what we found in the news. You're still watching Waze. Now, in 2021, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 10th of May the International Day of a Ghanaian. The resolution submitted by Morocco was co-sponsored by 113 member states of the United Nations and adopted by consensus. The argan tree is typically a multi-purpose tree that supports income generation, increases resilience, and improves climate adaptation, playing a very important role in achieving the 3 dimensions of sustainable development, that's economic, social, and environmental at the local level. Now, the sustainable argan production sector contributes to the economic empowerment and financial inclusion of local communities, especially women living in rural areas. Cooperatives are instrumental in promoting local jobs, opportunities, and can play an important role in contributing to food security and in eradicating poverty. I mean, this tree is one that I know that a lot of people that they travel to, what's the name of it? Is it Marrakesh or something? Most times people go to that place where the women are producing the argan oil because it has so many benefits. And I'm happy that, it's not just benefits for health, skin, and all of that, but it also benefits them economically, and thank you, because they've seen this is some government harnessing the power of what they have. I wish some others will learn. All right, so who do we start with? Let me start with Isi. No, I'm going to start with you. What did you find for us in the news today?
I don't want to.
You have a feel-good story, so that's why I'm starting with you.
I'm not taking any story about Nigeria to further notice. I just want peace and sanity. So my story goes thus. It's on South Africa, basically, and it has to do with women actually marrying men. So
more than one man.
No, I'm getting there. So what actually caught my attention was a story that says mixed feelings about allowing SA women, that is South African women, to marry more than one man. Now that's polyandry, and for men it is polygamy. So now they want to make polyandry legal.
South Africa.
Now, I wonder how that will be if it happens to go this way in Nigeria. But looking at it in the future, legalizing it will ruffle a lot of feathers based on what African culture, traditions will not allow it to happen.
Madam Lawyer, what are you saying?
What do you think?
Well, I'm looking at it from a biological standpoint.
Okay.
I think it doesn't favor women.
Really?
Okay.
Of course. Ooh. Okay.
No, tell us why.
In a case she has sexual relations with the 2 husbands on the same day and she produces a child, who owns the child?
She's married to both of them.
So who is it? I don't know. It's going to be a bit.
Well,
I think it's taking modernization, civilization.
No. Like what we
too far.
No. The conversation we were having today in the makeup room with Isi says she would allow both men live with her under the same roof. I say no. I would have 2 homes. I'll tell you, no, you have Mondays and Tuesdays with me. Wednesdays and Thursdays is for the other guy.
Listen, it's tiring for the woman. You have to cater for 2 men.
See, I
give 2 men your attention.
In this aspect, it is the man that is catering to the woman.
No, but you know what?
Because for the woman to be if you are a polygamist, for example, who does all the work? Who does all the caring?
It's from the biological standpoint.
I'm looking at it from the
having sexual relations with 2 men.
It's not easy.
I agree with you on that.
I just think for me,
I didn't want to read the story when I saw it. It was so nauseating to me. I didn't even bother to read it.
Listen.
It's just.
So when I put it up on my status,
I
saw the story I think 2 days ago. When I put it on my status, I mean, it sparked a lot of conversation. See, I think for me, it's just the awareness that men should understand that women can also do this. So learn to just stick to one wife, please. That's all.
And stick to one husband.
I think just stick to
yes.
One.
But we should talk about it. It's good for a Tuesday conversation.
I won't be part of that conversation.
What did you find?
I did not have a story until I came in here and you gave me this story. That there's a looming lockdown But then you now said
it's not a lockdown.
They've changed it to
they
restriction.
did. They changed it.
36 states in Nigeria is going to be restricted from having parties, going to be restricted to 50 people and all that. But I'm a bit worried. I thought the numbers were coming down. I thought we were getting out of this.
Exact same question.
What sparked this? And it's taking us on.
Asked the question that was the statistics that is backing this new restrictions by the
Or are they afraid that the stream from
India?
India is already in Nigeria. Do they know something we don't know?
If that was the case, they should have just.
And they're impeding people's businesses. A lot of nightclubs and all that. They've been out of business since last year.
Whatever they do, they shouldn't shut down the schools.
Yeah, no, that one, no. I don't understand because from what I heard, probably yesterday, the numbers were 36. In all the 36 states in Nigeria. So what could have triggered?
So that's why we say that this kind of conversation, this kind of news, you shouldn't just go blank. You should give us backing to say, okay, see,
these are the statistics.
Thank you.
And this is why. And Uwa, why I'm even particularly annoyed this night is I have 3 parties.
Now you have said the real reason. We'll hold that thought. Madam Owambe.
Outside of Lagos.
Let me take my story. You'll be fine. All right, so let me just quickly pull up this video so you watch my story. And it's linked to
I bring you greetings from Pastor Ifai, who's busy taking care of a frontier of our world and preparing our escape routes. If you don't have a plan B, I know you have faith, but I have faith too, but I have a plan B. And with technology, I can speak to you from anywhere in the world. Get yourself a plan B, whether that's an Okada to Cameroon, or a flying boat, or speedboat as we call them, to semi-border, or, you know, a hole in the ground, a bunker. Get a plan B, because these people are crazy. They're nutters, the whole bunch of them. And wait and watch the signs, because it can happen like this.
So, I mean, yeah.
Did you hear me saying ha?
Yeah, I heard you. I knew you had not seen the video. So for anybody that has seen that video that's been going viral, I watched the longer version yesterday. I mean, when he was breaking down the kind of leader we should be looking forward to having in 2023. But a lot of people are saying 2023 can never be our solution.
It's not visible.
It's not feasible. I mean, I had a long chat with, not really long, over breakfast with SAN, Femi Falana in Abuja. We met coincidentally. He was lodged in the same place I was lodged in. And he was just saying that, you know, he believes strongly that with the right head in Nigeria, things can actually change. That we just need the right person to be. But I still strongly believe that, is it possible? Because one human being, where we are today in Nigeria, can one human being truly change the situation?
Yes.
Institutions have been formed under this corrupt system that it will be difficult for you to break through those things. So I'm just wondering. So, I mean, now hearing Pastor Paul Adefarasi saying that, go and have a plan B. I mean, my passport is about to expire. I'm going to go and renew it. Just to let you know, I'm getting my US visa. I'm getting my UK visa. I'm just going to make sure that all my visas are up to date because, I mean, everybody is scared.
Take you out of here.
Everybody is scared about.
That's another thing.
I mean, people are not even sure that we wouldn't come to 2023 right now with the rate the rate at which the state of insecurity, so many things that are happening all at the same time in the country. So, I mean, I had to take this story because it's somewhat tied to what we're talking about with the agitations of restructuring, you know, clamoring for a constitutional review and all of that. So, but we'll do all of that. I mean, we have a fantastic guest that will hit the nail on the head, I mean, when it's time for that. And we'll bring him right after the break. So we'll see you shortly. Thanks for staying with us now. Restructuring is the corporate management term for the act of reorganizing the legal, ownership, operational, or other structures of a company for the purpose of making it more profitable or better organized for its present needs. Now, nation building is hard, but it needs not to be difficult as we make it in Nigeria. Nation building is also intentional. It doesn't happen by accident. The real test is the leadership and the action that creates a real spirit of nationhood and the willingness of every stakeholder to build a united, stable, and cohesive nation. Now, over 60 years after independence, we are confronted today with the imperative of defining a future for Nigeria that escapes our country's past. Now, the problem in our country is that we avoid honest dialogue, which sometimes involves telling ourselves some uncomfortable truth. The cries of marginalization, restructuring, secessionist tendencies are at their core a cry for justice in our country. Now, if we must rebuild this nation and preserve her future, where should be the good place to start? That's the question for tonight. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WazeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WazeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So let me come to you, Lami. I mean, this is a conversation that we have. Sorry. Sorry. This is a conversation that we've had several times, like in different angles and all of that. But it seems like we're just talking and it's falling on deaf ears. What do you think, would be a good place to start if we want to restructure or revolutionize or whatever it is, the term we want to use for to change our nation?
I would say it's the legislature.
Okay.
That was, in the first place, that was why we elected them to oversee our own interests. And I think they are the legitimate people with the legitimacy to do what we're clamoring for. Because already we have 360 or thereabouts of representatives and 109. So why are they there? I don't know why it's falling on deaf ears. As far as I'm concerned, they also have the powers to change the constitution and all that. But my own question is, why are they refusing to do it?
Absolutely.
And I think the major problem is
greed.
Party affiliations.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me come to Isi. What do you think?
What I think basically is a total overhaul of our system. The way we do things, the educational system, which stems from what the youths are also, the way the youth, they think. If they are able to work on the mindset of the youth.
You think so?
I think
You think that's our problem?
I think, no. Look, we have one, according to Pastor Adefarasi, he said something about having, let's say, about 1,000 people holding the state or the country to ransom. And we have over 200 million people. If we are able to rejuvenate the mindset of all these 200 million, or let's say 100 million people, I think there will be a total change.
So you think it should start from the mindset?
It is. I'm an advocate for mindset.
Everything mind shift.
Is mind shift. Thank
Absolutely.
you. A shift.
All right. So let me
What's
just
your take?
My take.
Yeah. You're not going to escape that.
I'm not going to escape it, right? In all honesty, in as much as I believe that one person can make a difference, I think we are all in this. We are all culpable when it comes to restructuring Nigeria.
Yes.
Because it is one thing for you to say that, yes, I want a new Nigeria. Can you handle what comes with a new Nigeria? Where your brother will be in a position to say that is in a position of power, and you will not be going there to say, but you're my brother now.
That's where the mindset shift
it's corruption.
You have to change
I'm not
your
seeing it from the
mindset.
angle you're seeing it from. I'm looking at that as a long-term change.
No, but you see,
I
the
am
change.
looking at the short-term change.
No, there's no short-term in this matter.
There's no
short-term. Let me bring in our
the
guest.
insecurity, the economic issues and all that. At least something short-term.
There's no short-term in it. It's a long-term project. It's just the way I'm raising my children. I'm raising them to understand value. I'm teaching them. They're not just demanding for things. My sons would add, they would tell you they would demand value for whatever you want to exchange for them. Do you understand? So let me bring in our guest. Dele Farotimi is a lawyer, author, and a member of the Citizens Rally Against Oppression. He served as president of the Students' Union at Lagos State University in 1994/95, and he was called to bar in 1999. He established Dele Farotimi & Co. in 2002, a full-service law firm which is known as DF Legal. He remained in active legal practice until his retirement in 2018 at the age of 50. Now, he's a political commentator, an author of the book Do Not Die in Their War. And Dele Farotimi is passionate about the birth of a better and a new Nigeria. And he's joined us live via Zoom. Thank you so much.
How this network is working, or if you have me, but good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So I hear your video is upside down. So if you just quickly turn that for us.
It's not me. It's the technology.
Okay, you are fine now.
I have managed to resolve that. I'm sorry.
Nope, not a problem.
The line actually went off and I had to.
Not a problem. It's fine now. Okay, so doctor, I said doctor. Why do I feel like calling you a doctor?
Me now.
Dele Farotimi, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, so
pleasure.
In fact, getting you to have this conversation with us was really something, because we kept on going back and forth with Shayo about, everybody's tired. Everybody seems to be tired about talking about Nigeria. It seems like we're talking and it's just falling on deaf ears. It's like nobody seems to get the picture. So for me, I think tonight, I just wanted to have a conversation to understand maybe if there's a low-hanging fruit where we can start from. Because the truth is, we cannot run away from restructuring or a revolution in Nigeria, because that is the only way we can become productive as a country. Where we are right now, I mean, it's like going back in circles, right? We're not productive, nothing is happening. So if we want to have a decent conversation tonight to say, okay, you know what? Let's drop everything we know. Where do we start from?
You ladies have, you started with a lot of stuff. First, I was busy hearing all about the polyandry thing, and I was thinking, okay, if only Nigeria could have only this sort of problem to deal with on a day-to-day basis, it's just the women having more than one husband. That would just be fantastic problems to be dealing with. But no, that wasn't the problem with us. By the time you started showing the clip by Pastor Adefarasi, and then you let on the snippet about the meeting with Mr. Falani, I was left with a lot on my mind, a lot to ponder. But the question you've asked, you give me a few minutes to just try and unbundle some things. The question is, where do you begin restructuring Nigeria? But the truth is, we might have even missed the restructuring train if we are not careful.
Wow.
Pastor Adefarasi is not a man unknown to me. I once attended that church, and he's a merchant of hope. Like all pastors, they deal in hope. Christianity itself is about hope. But when you hear one of the most hopeful merchants of the gospel in Nigeria begin to speak of a plan B, you then realize just how hopeless our situation has become. That is on one hand. And then you hear the asininity of some people who should know better, imagining that a change of personnel might possibly save Nigeria. No man, no single man, or even a group of men, without changing our current structure, can change Nigeria. The problem with Nigeria are foundational. The problems, they are foundational. We are not citizens in our own country. We've talked about this before. But the most dangerous part of our situation is that we are not a country governed by laws. We do not have rulers who believe themselves bound by the laws. They themselves have placed themselves above the law. The law appears to be what the occupant of Aso Rock says it is at any point in time. And that is suggestive of a society that is not anchored by law. We can talk restructuring, but we also must remember that within the same system where we are seeking a restructuring, there exists dates such as the 20th of October, and there still exists vast number of Nigerians who have bought into the lie that nothing happened on that day. And yet some of us continue to hope and believe that we can somehow prevent the looming war. Because when someone like Pastor Paul is telling you he has a plan B and he's talking about how these guys are crazy, there is a lot he has left unsaid, but that we must on our own begin to unpack. In this country, you are having students picked from their classrooms, picked from their dormitories. The government is busy negotiating the freedom of innocent kids with people they have termed bandits when they should be correctly labeled terrorists. But in Imo State, the army is proud to advertise the number of IPOB people whom it had tagged terrorists. And we are all in the same country. Look, the matter of Nigeria structuring is just a byword for me now. It's a byword for as best as we can, a turnaround. Nigeria is going to end up either in a war or it would have to find a peaceful path through a revolution. A revolution simply means a turnaround. It means turnaround. If the path you are taking is unsustainable, it becomes inevitable that anyone with a modicum of brain in their head ought to understand the urgent need to turn around. Why should it be so difficult for people to understand that in this age and time, it is impossible to keep anyone down by force? It is in human nature to demand freedom. It is in human nature to demand equality and justice. The Nigeria that is being built in this age and time is one that appears to be raising back to antediluvian times, the Middle Ages. We are in a place right now where the state has lost control of vast territories. We are still talking restructuring. Our matter, look, when I posted the banner for your talk today, a lot of my followers and friends on social media, I kept quiet. But the general sentiment these days is that our matter has worsened beyond where restructuring as a slogan does not work. If we're talking restructuring and there aren't concrete and urgent steps taken by the powers that be in Nigeria urgently to convene a sovereign national conference of the ethnic nationalities of Nigeria with a view to critically re-examining the foundations of our country, Nigeria will be having these talks post-war. It is inevitable.
Wow.
People like us might talk, we can talk peace all we want, but the reality on the ground is that the voices of war have begun to sound reasonable to the desperate because the Nigerian state appears to have become completely complicit in the existential battles that almost every tribe in Nigeria is fighting against Fulani headsmen or Boko Haram or bandits. Even the Fulani are fighting Fulani headsmen. Kankara is Fulani land. The children were Fulani children. Zamfara, most part of, so we are in a situation where it is easy to talk about 1,000 people. It's not 1,000 people. It's a class. And that class runs across the length and breadth of Nigeria. There are Yoruba senators in the Senate. There are Yoruba House of Representative members. They represent Yoruba land, they represent Igbo land, they represent all the ethnic nationalities. How many of them are speaking? So when we're talking restructuring, Nigeria has actually regressed beyond a point where I'm not even sure offering some people restructuring without genuine and urgent steps being taken will bring them to the table again. Wow. People believe that their very lives are at risk by being in the Nigerian Federation because it has become a killing ground.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me come in.
No, my question, I think he's already answered it in what he said. I was going to say, you're talking about the Sovereign National Conference, but we already have the legislature, which we elected. So what are they doing? Why do we have to duplicate functions? Why can't we just wait for 2023 and elect the right people?
You see, I am fond of saying that every time you want to build anything, you build it on the back of your foundation. It has to come on top of something. The current government in Nigeria, found on the 1999 Constitution, is an illegal government that does not rest on the will of the Nigerian people, because nobody, none of us, with the very first line of that Constitution, it is a lie. It says, we the people. Which people? Abdul Salami shot his way to power. He succeeded Abacha, who overturned the will of the people. And then they are creating a document and they are saying, we the people. And you are expecting the beneficiaries of that fraud to relinquish the powers that they have amassed to themselves, where the Constitution has assured that we the people serve those who are meant to be serving us. We call it a democracy, but our votes do not count. We are not citizens. They are not, They are not our leaders. They are not even rulers. This is a ruining class, a ruining class. Look around you. Look, even the religious, okay, listen to what Pastor Paul said. You think he's the only pastor with a plan B? How many of the congregants have their plan B? How many congregants have plan B? How many Nigerians have plan B? How many can even get out of the location where they are living, even if they have their monies? Where are they going? I expressed a sentiment some years ago. I said, I hope that we will not all end up in foreign lands as refugees with our grandchildren on our laps, talking about the good old days of Nigeria. And we are getting there. Because we sit down in Lagos, and even in Lagos itself is a bloody jungle now.
Yes.
People are threatening people's lives in this town, and nothing is happening, and we are still talking about restructuring. Let's be clear about something. The reality in Nigeria today is that the current government, the entire system, is not about persons. It's simply that the system has been dragged to the extent where it has lost all credibility with those whose consent it requires to govern. Vast portions of this country do not deem this government legitimate any longer. Why should people be killed in their homes, in their hundreds?
And nobody is even saying anything about it.
Pictures of bombing in Afghanistan. Have you checked the bombings in our own country?
Absolutely. I mean, this is really tiring. And that's why I said when I was having that conversation with, the SAN, and I was telling him, are you sure that because one human being, the wrath that we are experiencing in Nigeria, one human being cannot upturn it. It's not possible. One human being got everybody into this mess. It took one human being to get everybody into this mess. It took one human being to get out. Look, let's be clear about something. Nigeria has always been ruled on the consensus of the ruling class, which says we can keep biting the people, but we will maintain an ethnic balance that keeps the country afloat so that we can still in peace. But that consensus has been destroyed. Corruption was generally democratized under President Jonathan. What has happened under this government is that corruption has been privatized and turned into a weapon with which to bludgeon his opponent on the head. Why is that still everybody blind? They talk about crazy figures and nobody ever gets right. Magu was the first. What has happened to Magu since then? Nothing. I mean, Hadiza, was it not, we were just talking about the...
Now they are talking Hadiza. What will happen to Hadiza? Let me put it on the paper. Let me put it on tape now. Nothing will happen to Hadiza. Absolutely nothing. But it has served the purpose. What happened to Onoge? Nothing. it was a weapon. Remove him. That's not to say the man was corrupt or not corrupt, but it was a weapon with which to remove him. And that was the end of it. So please.
You know what? Let's just take a very short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. It's getting really heated.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let everybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Women are not lazy. We can do this thing if we want to. The problem is that we're not ready to band together.
If we continue to say that women can get there by themselves, it's going to forever be a mirage. And I find it uncomforting.
I believe that the women still need the men for this advocacy.
I have a friend who is a cook. And when he cooks, the children enjoy his food more than the wife. So they always ask Daddy cook for us. So at times he comes back home, he's tired, but he has to cook.
There's going to be a disconnect for this generation because the men are emasculated as it is.
If you keep waiting for politicians that, okay, let's wait till 2023, we'll bring in another set of people, you're still going to experience the same thing. However, if we in our own little corner start respecting and honoring ourselves, ignoring the politicians, we can't ignore them because we need to vote and get them out.
Actually, when you look at all that's happened in the country, it ties to the question of injustice.
Now, if you're just tuning in, we're discussing restructuring. Hey, well, we're asking where's the best place to start. But from Dele Faro to me saying that we are far from restructuring, that's not even our problem right now. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WazeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WazeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. I mean, we are over 200 million people. I mean, even if you are listening to that long version of Pastor Paul's video, I mean, it was saying that even the census self, it does not trust it. Like, I don't understand. If we want to practice true federation, for instance, why can't we just wake up to say, you know what, let us become really the Federal Republic of that. We are practicing true federation where, every state is empowered and the centers just...
Devolution of power.
Jesus, you know what, let me just bring in our guest. You see, you had a question. I'm tired.
Same for me, I am tired.
I am absolutely tired. And you know what, Dele Faro to me, help me out, because a lot of people are afraid. I know so many people that are relocated. My pastor is no longer in this country. He preaches from abroad, I mean, I know many people that are moving their children outside the country. I'm also considering it because, I mean, where we are right now, there's really nothing. Everybody's afraid. You talked about Lagos State. The state of insecurity has tripled. Like, it's really bad.
It's spreading.
It's spreading so fast. People think this insecurity is in the north. No, it's everywhere. So there are so many things happening all at the same time. Right, and people are also clamoring for, because you said something about equality and justice, right? If we want to even start, I don't know how to even explain the question. The people in the East, right, of course they're in their right to ask for certain kinds of rights because they are part of Nigeria. So if you're saying you want to practice federation, as a government, what should you be doing? Because me, it's like, everybody's talking, nobody's listening. I'm like, today I'm really confused. I'm terribly confused.
If I may step in there as well, My question goes thus. How do we get our political leaders to be accountable? We know we've gone past restructuring. In fact, you said we've gone past that window. How do we get the political leaders who are representing us now to be accountable to us, one, and also to avoid this looming war, in quote, or revolution? How do we get them to answer us and listen to us?
Yeah. The beauty of the human brain is capacity to resolve problems, however complex they might be. But the first step is to ensure that you correctly diagnose the problem itself. We have very deep problems. But the very first of those problems is the fact that, as I have said earlier, we are not a country ruled by law. There must first of all be the establishment of law and order in Nigeria. Law and order in the sense that each person must understand that whatever right they expect to enjoy, they must be willing to concede to the other person. That is not possible where we are right now. And to expect our current rulers to hand that to us would be extremely delusional, to say the least. We did something similar when we as the people elected General Buhari in 2015 in the expectation that he would bring change.
And he brought it.
If we truly desire change as the people, the first thing we need to do is to begin to unite ourselves around common purposes.
Exactly. Mindset.
We first of all need to understand that the problem of the Igbo man is not the Fulani man. It is first and foremost the Igbo man himself. Ndi Igbo rules Ndi Igbo. If Ndi Igbo now elects to rule Ndi Igbo as a proxy of the Fulani, that is the problem of Ndi Igbo. If Yorubas elect proxies of the Fulanis to rule themselves, they should look to themselves before blaming it on the Fulani.
Exactly.
If you dealt with the Fulani in your Sokoto, the Fulani in Sokoto will respect you. So first thing first, Nigerians should stop allowing other people to show them their enemies. The enemy is not the other man. The enemies are within. Nigeria in name remains a federation, so they still pretend that we elect our rulers locally. No Fulani man has ruled either in the southwest or the southeast or the south-south in the last 22 years. So we first of all need to look to ourselves to find the enemies. The second thing, we must look to the commonalities of our afflictions. Every Nigerian is commonly afflicted. We all suffer from insecurity. Yeah. We all suffer from the high cost of living. Absolutely. We all suffer from the collapse of the educational sector. We also suffer from the collapse of the health sector. We suffer from the almost complete putrefaction of the Nigerian state. It is common to every Nigerian, regardless of your tribe. The only people who are sometimes exempted, even though, as the Yorubas will say, one rich man amidst a multitude of poor people is himself impoverished. Even our rich people, our rulers, they themselves suffer from these things. So the commonalities of our affliction should be sufficient to help us find common ground from where to demand a change from the way we live. We are all rendered victims. But we concentrate on, no, it's the Fulani man, it's the Muslim man, it's the Christian man, it's the Dom man. We blame everybody for ourselves. It is only when we have done this, united ourselves behind common purposes, that we can isolate those who have enslaved all of us. So without uniting, we'll end up in a war, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. But I think it was that unity, yeah. I think it was that unity that we saw play out a bit during the NSAS, where, you know, the young people like us came together and there was a common goal. And I think that was what shook because for the first time, we were not divided across religion, we were not divided across age, ethnic, and all of that. Yes, there was nothing like that. It was just a common goal, and we needed to just end SARS. I think that was the... Oh, okay, I think he cannot hear me. Dele Parotimi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, we're losing his audio. Okay, you know what? While they're trying to reconnect with him, Lami, you have a question?
He's back.
Okay, I think he's back. Dele, can you hear me?
Yeah, but
Okay.
yes, I can. There is some sort of static on the line, but I can work with it.
Okay. Oh, so sorry. I think it's coming from my microphone. Lami, you had a question.
So I was going to say, people have advocated for regional government, saying if we go back to regionalization, things will work. But from what you have said, you said, from the present state of things, even not from what you have said, Yoruba governors rule Yoruba land, Igbo governors rule. So why is it that we are still in the same problem? So does it mean that if we now go back to regionalization, it's still going to be the same problem?
No. Don't let's misunderstand ourselves.
Okay.
You have a structure that has rendered the rulers unaccountable to the ruled.
Mm-hmm.
The current constitution does not flow from the will of the people. And because it does not flow from the will of the people, the governors can be buying people's votes for as little as 5,000 naira. In Ondo State, their last election, they had a slang, the Bosebe. That was because they were selling their votes for the price of a pot of soup. But that is also because the vote had no value. It has no value any longer in Nigeria, regardless of what party is in the office, because they are not accountable to you, they loot. Government exists just for the rulers to live in style. It's not for the people anymore. So when you speak about regionalization, let's be clear that that was the last agreement between the Nigerian people. What formed the Nigerian state in 1960 was the agreement that we should have federating regions. Those federating regions could have become independent states in their own right if they had refused to become part of the Nigerian Federation at independence. The Independence Constitution was further amended, and in 1960 and 1963, a fourth region was created. We grew that constitution that we developed at independence in 1960. So as at 1963, the will of the Nigerian people, as expressed by the constitution, which they wrote for themselves, said there should be 4 regions. Those regions were strong, they were autonomous. Today, you don't have a federation any longer. You have a federal government, and it is only federal in name. What it is essentially is a unitary dictatorship that has been forced on Nigeria since the second coup of 1966. So please, the fact is that a return to regionalism is nothing revolutionary. It merely means we return back to where we were before the military bandits took power in 1966. So let's be clear about that. A return to regionalism is the minimum, is the barest minimum that shows a willingness to listen to the people, especially oppressed people of the southern part of Nigeria and the middle belt, and almost the constitution we have right now works for nobody except the rulers. Okay, nobody else. So a return to regionalism is nothing revolutionary. It is merely a return to where we were.
Okay, Dele Parotimi, so I was going to ask you that when we come now, and you say we bring in all the stakeholders, right? We say they bring in all the stakeholders and we say this is exactly what we want. What gives that this government or this elite that have that have done this structure to favor them, what gives that they would allow that document to fly and let it become a new constitution when we do not even trust that, you know, they mean us well. They just want to continue to sit at the corridors of power and continue to enjoy things, you know, even at the, what's it called, at the detriment of a looming implosion, that this country might implode on them. They're still willing to continue like that. So what is the guarantee that they would accept a document if it eventually happens that, okay, people come together and all stakeholders come together to bring this new working document?
Let me say this. I have never expected that the oppressor would happily loosen the chains of the oppressed. People have talked about 100 million Nigerians changing the mind of the 20,000. There's no need for 100 million. There's no need for 100 million. 2 million committed Nigerians, 2 million committed Nigerians will change Nigeria. It is up to those of us who have been speaking Dogon Turenchi, because the time is coming now when there will be, even you are sat there now because there's still relative peace. There is a scenario, very plausible one, that says that any moment from now, some of us might have to start worrying about checkpoints on the street, not manned by soldiers, not manned by police, not manned by any Nigerian paramilitary, but manned by Lagos gangs. Simply because law and order is breaking down systematically everywhere across Nigeria. So if you are talking about gathering the beneficiaries of this injustice, the beneficiaries of the fraudulence from which all of us are suffering, to somehow be persuaded by a memorandum delivered to them, I think we are wasting our time. Some of us are taking our time to educate the people to understand what the issues are. When sufficient numbers have been properly educated, especially in non-violent methodologies, we will be calling people to confront this system. It's inevitable. The key thing is that you don't call a people you have not educated. An uneducated mob is a mob. And the Nigerian police and army are always happy to shoot people. They are very happy to shoot people anyhow, doesn't matter. And they'll come out and deny it. If you like, record it, they'll deny it. So there is no point. So if you are not going to call people to come out on the street and be protesting, you have to educate them. And what we seek to do is to let them understand what the issues are. The people you are expecting to resolve problems are not going to resolve the problem because they benefit from it. Let me show you something. Remember, in the National Assembly, you were hearing off the mic, and then you were seeing people fainting. It is because they don't expect to suffer the consequence of what they are doing in broad daylight. It is their hope that we will be stupid enough to fight a war so that they can escape with their loot. They have plan B, plan C, plan D to Z. We are the ones with very few options. So we must not give them the war they want, because that is what covers their track. The kind of crimes that have been perpetrated against the Nigerian peoples, if these people are ever held to stand before a court of law, they will hang for what they have done. But if we are stupid enough to start fighting, to succumb to the hatred that they have planted amongst us, and then we start killing ourselves, let me say something. We are the ones who will lose if that should happen.
Let's take some comments.
Today, the secessionists who continue to demand their own republics within Nigeria, they are doing so because the injustice is too glaring. How many bandits have been killed in Kaduna, in Niger State, in Zamfara? And how many IPOB members have been killed? Why are bandits and IPOB terrorists? These are questions that people need to ask themselves. And these are the things fueling the insecurity and the war that they are stoking. But we have to be careful not to fall for it, because it's only in that war that they escape.
Come on, we've run out of time. Let's quickly take comments, and
Okay, there is no name here, but it says Nigeria made a mistake twice. No sector of Nigeria state is functional. We are suffering from a habit of voting clueless people to power. Nigeria is neither practicing democracy, federalism, or whatever fancy name they call it. What Nigeria is practicing is either crazytocracy or clueless kakistocracy as well, and it's visible to the mind or to the blind that and it is visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that Nigeria is sitting on a cliff. We are falling apart.
Like one of your mentees, Odele.
Okay, quickly, I'll just do this.
Look.
It is laughable when some of us believe there is hope for this contraption called Nigeria. The president is the CNC of the FRN, that's the Federal Republic of Nigeria, yet he keeps appealing to terrorists, which they have refused to call terrorists, and then go on to kill IPOB members seeking independence. A CNC should act, not appeal. Our president must have been a very poor and clueless general in his days in the military.
Wow. Very funny to me. We just have like 1 second to go. It's been an interesting conversation. But if you had one last thing to say before, because we're going to have you very soon again, but this is just the beginning of the conversation. We can't stop talking. We have to keep talking. So what would you say to, who should I even direct this conversation to? To us as Nigerians, what would that thing be? What would you say to us? Because I believe that the change will start with us, not any government.
Not the government.
I'll say to you that the prospect of living as refugees in other people's lands, the peak of the dream of the average Nigerian is to go to America. But you do remember what just happened to Floyd. He couldn't breathe. A lot of Americans, black Americans, they can't breathe. And it's not only in America, it's the same in Britain. Everywhere outside of Nigeria that the black man runs to is a vagabond. If we are not to be rendered a nation of vagabonds, we are going to have to find the spine to stand up to this evil system and the even more evil rulers. If we don't, we should be prepared, whether we are going to be swimming, as Pastor Paula has said, or boarding Okada, because it's coming if we don't stand up.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, so this has been an interesting conversation. Like we said, this is just the beginning. We're going to have more of this, So in case you missed today's quote, here it is again. It's not about bombs. It's not about a revolution. It's not about bombs or what's it called? Or no. The revolution we're asking for is not about bombs, and pistols. Do not
Violence.
make. Yes, they don't. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the whittle stones of ideas. So let's find ideas to be able to, get our country running as opposed to violence. Violence is never the solution. So we'll see you live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy your evening.
Welcome to TW Conversations. In the lounge here, we talk about so many things, but today is particularly interesting because we're talking about a few good men. With me today is Mr. Praise Fowowe. He's a family systems engineer, and he's going to be talking about what really makes a man a good man. Is it his faithfulness, devotedness, loyalty, whatever it is? We'll be right back after the break. Please hold it there. Let's talk about all these together. Welcome back. And then, if you see with me here, I have my beautiful ladies back in the lounge. The lounge is full and lively at this point. But before I come to all of you, I really need to talk to Oga Praise. Let's know what it is that he does and why it's special and making an impact. Okay. So this systems thing, it sounds a bit complicated to me. Systems engineer, family.
Well, you know that we say that the family is the most important nation on earth. Okay. You know, and that the society is at the mercy of the family. Unfortunately, we are not very intentional about family because we don't understand systems, especially as Africans. Now, if you understand systems and you understand the system that engineered you, that engineered your spouse, then the system you need to create to create a predictable future, then life becomes very easy for you.
Were you always like this?
No.
So this was deliberate on its own?
Oh, yes.
So how many years have you been like this? And
What is this?
Because he's so deliberate about it. So I want to know, how long have you been like this? And is this, so that people can know that...
Well, I've always asked questions, I didn't like the kind of family I grew up in because my dad was like the lion of the tribe of our home. He was a good man, but you had no say, my mom had no say. So I started asking questions, why is life like this? I mean, how come women are the ones who should cook? Why can men do the cooking as well? Why can this happen? So and I began to get answers. Then I went to study a few marriages that have really worked. Wow. I went on to study a couple that had done 68 years. Wow. Then I studied another one that done for 49 years. So I was asking them, why did you marry? They couldn't really explain. So I thought, okay, let me spend some time and study. And because I'd done neuro-linguistic programming, I understand how to study people and create content. So that was what I did.
And Fumi is not too fast. How many years has Fumi done now? Oh gosh. I had 68. So you're now going to make my 37 seem like child.
But it's a lot.
But we all have an impression of what we think a good man should be like. Come on, yeah. Describe your good man.
How are you still looking for that good man?
Yeah, that's what she has to tell us. What are you looking out for?
This is the part where I roll my eyes to the back of my head. But I think that everyone, whether you're married or not, has an idea of what a good man is, whether you're married to one or not. One of the traits that I look for in a man is kindness, because a kind person is thoughtful and considerate, regardless of what's going on. And a kind person is not selfish, And I think that when there are challenges in a relationship or in life, these are traits that come to the surface, regardless. So kindness is one of them.
Saudas, what do you think? How would you describe you're a good man? I mean, you've been married for 13 years.
13, 15.
Oh, wow. What have you done? What have you done right? What has he done right? What has he done right?
Okay.
You.
Right, okay.
Oh, what has she done?
Let me not say right. Let me just say what has worked for me. I married... I came with a lot of baggage, and I married someone that didn't judge me. No, this girl came with thick boxes. She had her boxes. I know that.
Okay, so
I married someone that didn't judge me. I know that, and I'm so grateful because I know I have baggage, and when someone just understands when you're moody and just
let you be.
But let you be because I also know that because I am like this doesn't mean that take me for my nonsense. Because he wasn't like, you need to do this. You change for who you love. You change for who accepts you. You change because he's also trying to be better. So you cannot just say, I'm a nasty person, so you better take me for my night. No, you can't do that.
Dion, do you believe in good men?
Yes, there are good men, yes. But there are also good men that
turn
bad.
So tell us about...
But I like kindness. It's very important.
For your daughters, what would you look out for?
A kind and generous person. I teach my children to be extremely generous in life because you have what you need when you need it. All the extra, I tell them, is excess that you can be a blessing to someone with. So I say, look for a kind and generous man. I think it's important.
Kind and generous.
I don't know about
kind, and because it's defined definitions are based on, you know, I think friendships are so key.
Very.
If it's somebody that
friends
with a nasty
we hurt
man.
our friends. We say hurtful things to them. We do things.
Yes,
we're
but
vindictive
but
even to
that's
our friends
why,
whom we
that's
love.
That's why if you're friends, then you will understand that sometimes friends hurt each other. Do you understand? And because in marriage, I mean, for me, help me here. That's why you're here. I mean,
it's when the question is definition of what each person thinks is a good man.
Yes.
It's going to be almost different from all of
Yes.
for
Yes.
each person.
Yes.
You know, women, we like to say, you know, the right words, but in our souls, what satisfies each woman is probably quite different, and the balance each woman is willing to accept. Is willingness to accept that person also. But I believe that a good man is the one that is interested in keeping whatever the relationship or the exhibition, as I call it, because it becomes an exhibition. I mean, if you've been with somebody for 36 years, life has shown you all kinds of things. But if there is a man in the middle there who is willing to keep it on the road, who is interested in making everybody else around him happy, and who tries his best, because in the end, you know, we can define a good man. Men can go away and define what is a good woman also. So let's be careful here.
Okay, so what do we do now with our expectations? Do you think that ladies these days have absurd expectations of men?
Well, I think that people have I mean, it's normal for human beings to have expectations. But like I was sharing, we're talking and you were asking me who is a good man, and I said, even when they asked Jesus that question, he said, no man is good. Oh yeah, that it depends on the angle you're looking at it. You know, so you would say a man who is faithful, never cheats on his wife, but is very reckless with money. So his wife would tell you he's not a good man, because what happens is we all look for that dark spot in each person and we focus on it and magnify it and exaggerate it. Now you become what you build consistently, so you overlook several other sides, because no man is absolutely bad. No man is absolutely good.
No man is absolutely bad.
None.
Do we all agree?
Yeah, you should be asking.
You will be shocked that even when Osama bin Laden was killed, there were people who cried. When Gaddafi was killed, there were people who cried. Yes. So you're not close to them. You don't know. So the people who are close enough see the good sides of these people. You know. So I always say to people, you need to define what you're looking for, right? And if you can find that in your person, then it's fine. But maybe she said something about good people can actually become bad. You know, because remember that we're all coming from different backgrounds, and we could have been an engineer. There could be some self-sabotaging softwares installed already in you that you may not.
Okay.
Install.
Software. Hardware of humanity. So that's upbringing. That's what makes it. Okay, let's
That's the upbringing.
Yeah.
So the role of parents now.
Yeah. So I mean, because you're all being engineered by different parents. So what
was a bachelor, for example.
Yeah, that's something is installed in you, because your interpretation of manhood will change. Your interpretation of who a woman will change.
Yes.
I mean, when I was growing up, all I saw about women were kitchen. You know, they kept quiet. No, they couldn't hear, speak up, and what have you. So something was installed in me to say, hey, when you grow up, you know, you are the lion of the tribe of your home. You know, your woman, you never get into the kitchen. I mean, it was insulting for a man to wash his plates or to go to the kitchen and things like that. Those things were already installed.
So you had to reprogram yourself.
Oh yeah. So I mean, when women talk about being romantic, my wife had to teach me, because let me tell you, when I was growing up, my dad, I only saw him hug my mom once a year, and that usually would be crossover from 31st of December to 1st. And we usually look forward to it like 15 seconds. Now, how was I if I'd seen that for 28 years of my life, how was I supposed to be romantic? Now I know how to give flowers and all this kind of thing. So it's been installed. Now the process of uninstalling the software is something you need to take personal responsibility for. So my own good man will be a man who is working on his good, who understands his self-sabotaging pattern, is honest about it, and is willing to get help.
That would be your definition of a good man. Okay, that's willing to make the changes to make himself better.
Yeah.
Isn't that the definition for a good person?
Well,
male, female.
Yes.
So I think we're saying
Can
good
you
men.
answer the question? You know, we did a show on toxic masculinity one
Yes.
time. I want him to talk on that a bit, and how did we end up with toxic masculinity now? Is it from the way this software something?
Yeah, I mean, the average boy in Africa is socialized not to externalize emotions. So when two children are playing and the boy falls down, and he wants to cry, you tell him, man up, man up. Men are not supposed to cry. The girl you hold and you cuddle. So that boy, you've socialized him not to externalize, emotions. You've socialized him to say that men don't cry. So when he's going to grow up,
talked about this endlessly.
He won't
men
grow up.
don't cry. Should men really be crying about
Men
like
should
that?
cry. Men should cry because I'll tell you one of the damage that has been done over time, and it's a damage that has been put in books. So you hear things like men are logical, women are emotional. That's not correct, because there are women who are logical, there are men who are emotional.
The point is sometimes there could be men who are logical, and there could be men who are crying.
Yes.
So we should stop saying all men can be. Same way, all women. So same way, when you see a woman who's logical, they say this woman is too much.
Yeah, they say she's too much, and that's the problem. So what we say is, treat
she's a
people.
troublemaker. Like
seriously,
I had that challenge in my marriage.
Yeah.
My ex used to say to me, "It's like living at home with a man."
And that's a problem.
I want you to be soft. And I said to him, I said, when you met me, I'm very logical. My father was a chartered accountant, and he made me do my mother's books where kids were playing. I used to do our books all the time. I wasn't allowed to play. So I can decipher right from wrong. I may agree to go along with you, but I choose to. I'm very logical like that. I'm not carried away by my emotions so much. I'm sorry, to me, we can be logical. You see the question, what he made there, one should be willing to change.
Yes.
How have you balanced it for yourself?
That's the point. When you talk about a good man, especially in a marriage, I always say that you have participation as a person.
Participation.
Yes, your own participation is also going to be very important. And it is how you bring the goodness out of a man sometimes. Of course, there are excesses and extremes that you cannot ask a woman to go through just because we're trying to uninstall that software. but your participation is going to be important.
Before we get into a more heated conversation, please, we need to go on a break. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back. So before we went on a break, we were talking about installing and uninstalling. So at this point,
Somebody has crawled into the chair.
We need to know what it is. So he had said something that it's not our place to uninstall what has been installed. Whose duty is it?
And that's why you get a professional to help out, because, some of the, except in situations where the man is not willing to show up for his session in therapy, then you activate his wife to help. You need to activate his wife to help. Yeah, because, men manifest different behaviors per time, and the strategy to crush a particular one is totally different from the other. That's why you need to understand who the man is, you need to understand his upbringing, you need to understand how he became who he is.
That's why we need a systems engineer.
How many men come?
96% women.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And they come without their spouses.
But interesting thing that in therapy now, a lot of men are showing up.
Wow.
Because men have started out meeting in communities, and they're now beginning to see some of the problems for the person.
Why are they not showing up?
Well, because again, you were not socialized to speak about your problem as a man. That's it's part of manning up. You tell him, man up, man up. Women are
How are we going to change that in the home? Who is it, the father or the mother, that you're going to change that for our young kids now?
But interesting thing is the men we talk about today were boys that the women of yesteryears built.
Yes. Oh, so in other words,
Are you dropping it on our show?
I'm not dropping it on you alone. I'll give an example. My mom put me in the kitchen. Right? Well, as a boy. So when I was getting married...
Did Daddy say, why are you sending him to the kitchen?
When I was growing up, right? When I got into marriage, I wasn't expecting my wife to cook for me. Right? And the same thing...
Is it wrong to expect your wife to cook for you?
It's not wrong. It depends on what works for you. My son is living with the same expectation right now because he's been taught to cook, he's been taught to wash his dishes. And so again, it comes to the system that you have in place in your home to engineer the kind of future you
tell us what we should be doing now.
Okay, so the first thing I say to couple is this: marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations to create a new nation that will promote the best interest of all and whose culture will give our world rest. So when people are coming into marriage, the first thing you need to ask is, what nation are you coming from? What nation is your husband coming from. The problem we have is when a man from a third world nation gets married to a woman from a first world nation.
Upgrade now.
Or
the other way around.
Or the other way around. That's unequal you. So
no, but they have to work. It doesn't mean it's not possible.
No, it's not. It doesn't mean it's not. But you see, the problem is this. The problem is this. If you're from a third world family as a man, your wife is from a first world family, you need to understand that that's God's blessing to take you out of third world to first world. So, but a man is not socialized to learn from his wife or to be mentored by his wife. So all he's going to be doing is to drag her down to his level to say, this is how we behave in my culture, this is how they behave in my culture. Exactly.
So he's installing that software again.
So it can be the other way around as well, right? And that's why there are assessments that people take right now that shows the kind of world you belong to. So now say, okay, so when you begin to ask questions like, who is superior between a man and a woman? And the man says it's a man. And the woman says, no, there should not be superiority or inferiority. We're the same. Then you know there's going to be problems. So you want to navigate all those things before you get married. Now, when you navigate that, you now ask people, okay, what nation do we want to build? What will be our family vision? What values must we subscribe to? And this is a critical issue.
Already created nations. How do we solve the problem now?
You know, some men have complained that the bad behavior was brought out of them because of their spouses.
Yes.
So she brought out the rust in me. That's how they put it. So that's their own.
Somewhere.
Exactly. So do you think that these things?
Women also say that, you know.
I will not totally agree.
I don't.
With that no, it was there. But it
was dormant. It was activated.
But somebody can trigger it or activate it,
honestly,
or deal with it.
Some men are living in hell in their marriages.
Yeah.
I sit in counseling regularly.
Yes.
A lot of men are going through troubles.
Yes.
You know, and I know what some women have done to men. You know, but again, there are skills that because we say nothing means anything except when you're attached to it. So a woman was saying to me that her husband calls her useless all the time, useless, and she was going through depression. You know, so when she showed up, I said useless. Oh, really? I said, is the meaning you have attached to that useless? So I asked her to write useless. Can you write it out? So she wrote it. So within that word useless, there are two words. What are they? So use plus less. So I said, can you flip? So she flipped. And what does it mean? It said less used. So I said, your husband is not insulting you. He's only announcing his incapacity. I mean, that he lacks the capacity to maximize you. Now, all I did was change the meaning change the meaning for. Now it's
you are teaching all these young wives lingo.
You know, so you need to change the meaning for them. But truth is, your spouse can bring out the worst in you, or improve you.
Or improve you.
Yes.
So can we redirect? Are there any good men really? Because I think my husband is a good man.
My husband is a good man.
My dad is a good man.
So is my husband actually.
Okay, so
my husband is the bad one now.
Are you a good woman?
But let me tell you what. That's the thing. What I tell young girls like you now is that, why you're looking for a good man? Are you a good woman? I said my husband is a good man because he brought out the good woman in me. I went into marriage ready to scatter. Then if it doesn't work, but my husband said marriage is forever because he decided to be that way. That's why I wonder, you know, if I wasn't, I mean, could I have been the best wife? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But he made sure. I say, if you want a woman to be a particular way, the man has a responsibility to make you agree.
I agree. I think anyone that can bring out the best in you is a good man. Right? Anyone who is not threatened by your success is a good man. You know, because that's the problem. People try to, and you know, that definition I gave about marriage is that promote the best interest of everyone. You know, so what that means is, because a couple, people don't understand what a couple means. And I say the easiest way to understand a couple is to visit the mechanic, the auto mechanic, you know, and observe how the couple is engine. Yeah, to say that when your wife succeeds, right? You are a successful man. Because the word husband is the word bridegroom, which means a groomer of a bride. So your job description is to actually groom her and set her free to be better than you.
So successful woman
how do you find
a good husband?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, because if your husband is if your husband is insecure, if your husband is insecure, if he's insecure, you're gonna be messed up. Yeah, because every attempt to become the best of you is going to stifle.
But a lot more men are insecure now. Omoye has one very important question.
I have a question.
Observation.
They said report yourself.
She asked me, so Omoye, how are you going to find him? I'm like, find him. I'm not supposed to find him. He's supposed to find me.
Says who? Who says you can't find him?
That's what the Bible says. Whoso finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Yes, and I don't think that I'm supposed to find him. I'm supposed to just keep being the best person I can be as a person and as a woman. because I'm a woman.
So how
right?
do you know him? How do you know if a guy is good?
Well, I don't totally agree, you know, because I mean that's part of the problem, you know, in this part of the world where you say who should propose, a man or a woman.
No, but I
Question
think
is,
that
we want to get married.
I think that it's okay to have different opinions.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, life is always this and that. You know, so what I say is, you want to get married, right? So who cares who does the finding? You know, at the end of the day,
proposal. I think you can come to an agreement if you've been courting.
Yeah.
You can just agree. I was never asked, will you marry me?
Yeah.
We just agreed that we were getting married.
You know, some guys going, some guys
No, I'm very old school. And I believe a lot of women have been burnt by this, by the way. So you assume that you have a sort of relationship with a person, and you assume that he should take it to the next level, and he doesn't take it to the level. You now make the attempt and say, you know what, let's get married. And then tomorrow he feels like he doesn't have a responsibility in the marriage to make it work. After all, it was your idea.
Again, you need to find out what kind of man is that, right? Because if the man is not matured, that's when you have those kind of things.
Okay.
I mean, no, a woman is not going to propose to me, and I'm going to feel she's a slut. She's found a good thing.
That's you.
Right?
That's me.
Again, who are these men? And that's a question we need to ask.
My
right?
generation. Maybe what is the relationship like before you start? You know,
yeah, I mean, if you're best of friends, I mean, best of friends can say things.
Can I talk about my generation, though? If your son came to you and said his girlfriend proposed to him,
if I like the girl and he loves the girl, who cares who did the proposal?
Exactly.
So you're telling us these days that we should, single ladies should take initiative.
I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying. You know, I mean, what works for you? What works for you? I mean, because when the Eater was in town, you know, I actually went online and I saw loads of people actually propose to their husbands and their marriages are working. In fact, while I put it on social media, a lot of pastors actually called me to say, praise, we've not been able to say this out, but my wife actually proposed to me. I'm like, why can't I say culture? You know, so again, so you'll be shocked. You will be shocked at the number of people actually propose to their, but they can't say it out because people will laugh and all this kind of thing.
But also, I think when you say proposed, culturally, women, even a lot of women who propose, they say, what are we doing? Is this going somewhere? That is a proposal.
Yeah. And then
you hardly find any woman going on her knees to, and I mean, many relationships,
that's the drama,
even when
the drama of proposal.
Yes,
that's
the drama. And even when a man proposes.
The drama of proposal is going on your knees.
Yeah. Even when a man proposes, he doesn't always say, sorry to cut you, he doesn't always kneel down and say, there's a conversation.
Yes.
I think this relationship is doing well. I think both of us are in a good place, and I would like us to, and that's a proposal.
No, but you're talking about marriage now, but even in a relationship where two people are dating each other, you know, if you really are in sync, there's no fine lines now. That's my assumption. If you are feeling each other,
you don't want to assume in relation because people are
but because when I say that, I'm a very open person. So we speak about everything. So we must have talked about it at some point.
Maybe what you do is definition of the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to define your relationship
now. You know, when it crosses from friendship to whatever.
So who's a good man?
So let's wrap up. Let everybody tell us what you've learned and what you think a good man is. And if your mentality has been tweaked a bit, let us know this.
Can I ask a question? I want him to address
toxic.
The people that were the boys that we're raising now. How are we going to make them good men? I don't want to be hearing a few good. No. How are we going to make new generation? Yes. How do we multiply now?
Okay, so there's what we call the perceptual code of your child to say who do you want your child to be. Now, when you create that perceptual code, then you create a script around your child. But the problem is, a child learns from what it sees, you do not what you say. So you got to model, you have to model the perceptual code. One day my son, I used to be bigger than this, my son was having a conversation and he says, when I grow up, my tummy will be as big as my daddy's tummy. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So I had to hit the gym and, you know, so again, let's become the future we want our children to become. And I think that's what we need to do.
Your perception of your good men.
Well, remains the man that brings out the best in his woman, regardless. You know, it shouldn't be a function of whatever. Just bring out the best in the woman.
I believe he's the man that's willing to work on it, and I believe that he can be helped by the good woman by his side.
Man that brings out the best in his woman and the woman that brings out the best in a man, basically. I think it was in sync, yes.
I like to think everybody has said it all. Ditto. Ditto.
Thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
She
I
chose
asked her,
a
she
que-
chose
a
to do a question
yeah.
instead.
Okay, sorry. guys.
Thank you so much for being with us on the show today. This topic is extensive. We really can't go around it, but we know we have to go and we've learned a lot. Please, men, it is your responsibility to run a home and raise leaders. Please take it with all seriousness and be intentional. See you next time on the show.
Be intentional. What's it been?
Thank you so much. You loved it?
Yeah, it was heated. It was there was a time.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
On News Now tonight, federal government reintroduces COVID-19 restrictions, shorts bars recreational centers, limits public gatherings. As Ethiopian UN peacekeepers move to refugee camp after seeking asylum. And President Joe Biden says he sees no evidence of involvement by Russian government in pipeline hack. Many thanks for joining us. I am Justin Akadonye. The Office of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Ohafia local government area of Abia State has been set ablaze. This happened on Sunday night, days after the Commission's office in Akwa Ibom was set ablaze by unknown gunmen. The incident was confirmed by the resident electoral commissioner for the state, Joseph Ilo, when the Commission met on Monday to discuss a wide range of issues. A statement issued by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, revealed that the attack is not the first the Commission has suffered in the state in recent times. Now, joint security operatives comprising the police, army, and other allied agencies have rescued 30 Muslims out of the 40 that were kidnapped while praying inside a mosque. Spokesman of the Katsina State Police Command, Gambo Isa, who confirmed the abduction and subsequent rescue, told journalists that the bandits in their numbers came from Zurumi border town in Zamfara State during the Hajj prayers in the outskirts of Jibia Forest. Now, the United States says there is no plan to relocate its Africa Command from its current base in Germany to Nigeria or any other part of Africa. Despite the Western state of insecurity in the region, the U.S. gave the response barely 2 weeks after President Muhammadu Buhari appealed to the U.S. government to consider relocating AFRICOM to Africa to assist Nigeria and other adjoining countries to combat worsening terrorism, banditry, and other security crises. The president made a plea in a virtual meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on April the 27th. Germany-based Africa Command, AFRICOM, is the U.S. military headquarters that oversees its operations in Africa. Buhari's request followed a series of recent military casualties in Nigeria's decade-long fight against Boko Haram terrorists. Now, the Rivers State Police Command has confirmed the deaths of 7 of its operatives by gunmen who attacked police stations in Ilimbu, Obiakbo, and Rumuji in Moha local government areas of the state on Friday. The gunmen also lost 2 of their men after brave policemen engaged them in a shootout and prevented the men from gaining access to one of the police stations attacked. Now, the statement further said the command is relatively calm, and the Commissioner of Police is currently in a security meeting with his team. Security has been further strengthened in all the police formations in the state, including all the critical public and private infrastructure. Staying with the Rivers State, the governor, Nyesom Wike, has extended night curfew from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. with effect from Tuesday in order to stem dastardly attacks on security formations in the state. He said the decision has been taken in the wake of multiple armed ambush on police checkpoints along the east-west road, which resulted in a cold-blooded murder of 7 police officers over the weekend.
In a statewide broadcast, Governor Nyesom Wike said the State Security Council has reviewed the way and manner the recent attacks were executed and discovered that the perpetrators who disguised themselves as security officers moved unhindered from Oyigbo to launch the attack.
As a further step towards enhancing our collective safety, we have reviewed the existing nighttime curfew across the 23 local government areas, which will now start from 7 p.m. and end at 6 a.m. until further notice from tomorrow, 11th of May, 2021. The security agencies are hereby directed to note the new curfew time, ensure strict compliance, and effectively deal with any person or group that violates or attempts to violate this order. We have reviewed and for the moment declined the pressure on the state government to activate our youth to defend the state from these terrorists.
Governor Wike, who consoled the families of the dead officers and the State Police Command for the irreparable loss, said government and security agencies are determined to deploy everything at their disposal to advance the safety and security of lives and property. The governor explained that the agencies are on the trail of the gunmen who attacked security formations in the state. He expressed optimism that the culprits will all be arrested soon and brought to justice.
The nation's security agencies are on their trail, and we are confident that they will all be arrested soon and brought to justice. We wish to assure every resident they were not intimidated by the sporadic and cowardly attacks on predetermined security targets by faceless criminals on our soil. Neither will we be cowed into succumbing to a baseless and doomed secessionist agenda.
Governor Wike appealed to residents of the state for understanding as government is mindful of the difficulties the curfew may inflict on them.
Well, back here in Lagos, the police says the command is investigating threats by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and Yoruba separatist groups. Commissioner of Police Hakeem Odumosu has vowed that no breakdown of law and order or attacks on soft targets will be tolerated. Odumosu spoke at the Stakeholders Forum on Security, which Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu presided over. The CP said the command was aware of agitations for the Oodua Republic by some secessionists and the threats to disrupt law and order in the state. Now, the police chief disclosed that 24 persons belonging to the groups have been identified and are being closely monitored. Following the attacks by unknown gunmen, communities in Imo State are embarking on forming their own vigilantes. Most residents in the state are now building iron gates on their streets to monitor movement in their communities.
Security is one of our visions. It is the vision of PN to establish an organized, harmonized, and formidable, viable vigilante outfit to consolidate the security of lives and properties in Prefab. Barricades are to be erected at the entrance of every street in Prefab as a part of security measures to checkmate incessant hold and bag snatch, especially now that the country is facing serious security challenges.
Meanwhile, a senior lecturer in Alban Ikoku College of Education, Dr. Abba Ikoe, is calling on the federal government to shun the ideas to dialogue with criminal bandits in the country.
And the security in the states was not able to stop them. Government should go after the security apparatus of our country and call them to order. It's not to call for any dialogue that will stand as a precedent for any other secessional group to begin to agitate using a gun or using a bomb or whatever. We are not in support of that. When the security fails, you will see what you saw in Imo State. It is the failure of security. It's not the failure of the Nigerian youth.
And talking transportation matters now. The minister, Rotimi Amechi, has charged the 11-man panel inaugurated to probe the management of the NPA for alleged looting to be diligent in finding out the procurement processes from 2016 till date. Amechi stating that with over $1 trillion being generated by the NPA in the last 5 years, it is important to find out how these monies have been expended by the management of the NPA. He, however, added that no one has been indicted for any offense and asked Nigerians to support the work of the panel.
I'm going by the submission, the budget submission, and the submission that they tendered before the budget office. So if their budget in 5 years is between 300 to 400 billion. Let's go by 300 billion. If you multiply it by five years, how much would that be? now been either nearly 1 trillion or slightly above 1 trillion. So it will take you some time to go through income, expenditure. We're not auditing, so that the Auditor General won't say you're interfering with his responsibilities. But we want to find out the processes and how the money was spent and all that. And you should please be diligent. Invite anybody you want to invite. Please invite the minister if there are infractions that involves the minister. I've been minister for 6 years now. So if there's any infraction that you see that requires explanation by the minister, I'll be glad to appear before you and give such explanation, if any. Any other person in the ministry or in MPA that you need to invite, please do invite. Let's see what's going on.
We are going to work. We are going to be honest and fair in the discharge of this moral responsibility, so that at the end of the day, when we turn out our report, it will be good, and it will ensure that what is praised, what the panels were raised was achieved, and I believe we are going to do in the interests of the ministry, of the country as a whole.
And straight now to Oyo State, where the Independent National Electoral Commission has engaged relevant stakeholders in the state on the rationale behind the conversion of the existing voting points into full polling units. Here is more as presented from our studio.
The Resident Electoral Commission REC in Oyo State, Mutiu Aboke, while addressing the stakeholders, noted that the Commission has decided to start early engagement on the urgency of voters having access to polling units. Aboke, who disclosed that the state had 1,607 voting points and 4,783 polling units, said with the conversion of the voting points, the state would now have 6,319 polling units.
The objective of this present exercise are, among others, to expand voter access to polling units by converting the existing voting points and voting point settlement into full polling units. INEC is not creating additional polling units, but rather INEC is converting existing voting points to polling units.
Various stakeholders, however, call for creation of more wards in the state, as the present population has outnumbered the current data used by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
There's a need for additional polling booths, but that cannot be made automatic. So what they have done in the meantime is to turn polling units into polling booths to make voting easily accessible to our people. And then with the times of COVID right now, you can't have too many people at the same time. It will make voting less rowdy. It will make it smoother.
This process, was made for 50 million Nigerians, and we know that we are expanding in our numbers. We know that there are areas that are just new settlements, and they need to provide for them. And for them to, sit down to be doing that on their side, nobody will believe that we get to a stage that INEC will want to upgrade, voting points to polling units.
Oyo REC boss further explained that the Commission will be migrating for direct data capture machine, DDCM, used during the last election to INEC voter enrollment device, IVED, based on an Android tablets for effective voting exercise.
Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will next week convene an emergency meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security to deliberate on how to check the incessant attacks on its offices nationwide. Now, the Chief Press Secretary to INEC Chairman Rotimi Oyekomi said the Commission will hold a wider consultations to determine the best way to protect its offices and assets from attacks. The Commission's office in Ohafia local government area of Abia State was set ablaze by hoodlums on Sunday night, a week after the Commission's headquarters in Isianudim local government area of Akwa Ibom State was also razed by unknown persons. Now let's talk health. The National Association of Resident Doctors says it has decided to delay its intended strike as a goodwill gesture to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who has been making efforts to address its demands. In a statement jointly signed by the President, Ilawa Okwayesi, Secretary General Jerry Isogun, and Social Secretary Dotun Oshikoya of the association, the group commended the Speaker for his interest in the group and decided to delay its strike for 3 weeks. According to NARD, the Speaker deserves a special commendation for the uncommon interest he has shown to matters affecting the association and for the promotion of healthcare delivery in the country. Now, the state government has restated its commitment to developing education and encouragement of the investment sector. Education Officer for Ikiti South Senatorial District, Rhoda Ojo, said this in Ikari-Ikiti as she presented gifts to winners of a quiz competition for children. She also urged parents to take full advantage of the free education in the state. Now, the representative of the Ogoga of Ikari-Ikiti, Oba Adejimi Alagbado, advises more.
Can our society ever get better? The answer is yes. We will get there. Nigeria will be better. When you and everyone sitting in this hall, when we are defined by our success, not how much we possess, but how much we can give to the generations presently and those coming after us.
It is my advice to you that you should make use of whatever is given to you in the spirit for which it is meant. The gift is not meant for persons, it's not meant for clothes or any other unnecessary material.
For the book, we continue to give you that basic knowledge and continue to develop the standard of education we have in the country. Because education is basically the only tools we have.
Now, the Lagos state government has announced that it would launch buses to replace motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, and tricycles known as Keke, to ply inner roads in the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said this on Monday during a security stakeholders town hall meeting in Ikeja, adding that over 500 minibuses will be deployed next week. He said the move is to alleviate the pain residents of the state go through following the restriction of motorcycle and tricycle operations. According to him, the database will form a critical part of the state security architecture, noting that it will ensure that the government knows who is who at any point in time. The federal government has declared Wednesday and Thursday as public holidays to mark this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola made the declaration in Abuja. He congratulated the Muslim faithful on the occasion and called on all Nigerians at home and abroad to use the period of the celebration to pray for peace, stability, and economic transformation in the land. The minister believes that development cannot thrive in a rancorous atmosphere and asked all Nigerians to be law-abiding and embrace the spirit of love, self-discipline, kindness, and tolerance as taught by the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Well, let's now track the latest update on COVID-19. The federal government has reintroduced COVID-19 restrictions across all 36 states and the federal capital territory. A member of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Dr. Mukhtar Mohammed, said the new directive is to take effect by midnight of Tuesday. While the restrictions imposed, mass gatherings in public spaces have been restricted to 50 people at any given time. Access to government institutions would also be denied to anyone not wearing a face mask, while government meetings and travels have been limited to the virtual platform. According to Mohammed, the government has directed that bars and nightclubs should remain closed and a nationwide curfew will be in force until further notice. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says if wealthy nations take more than enough COVID-19 shots while millions in poor countries died waiting for them, it would amount to vaccine apartheid. South Africa and India have been pushing for a waiver on some intellectual property rights for vaccines and medicines at the World Trade Organization.
South Africa's president has warned against wealthy nations hogging COVID-19 shots while millions in poor countries die in the queue waiting for them. That, Cyril Ramaphosa said, would be tantamount to, quote, vaccine apartheid. Sub-Saharan Africa has administered the fewest vaccines relative to its population than any other region. 8 doses per 1,000 people compared to 150 per 1,000 globally, according to the World Health Organization. South Africa and India have been pushing for a waiver on some intellectual property rights for vaccines so they can be manufactured domestically.
Excellency President.
US President Joe Biden backed the proposal last week, though it could take months to reach a deal.
South Africa's nationality.
In a newsletter, Ramaphosa called on South Africans to support the waiver, saying vaccines should be a global public good. It is about affirming our commitment to the advancement of equality and human rights, not just in our own country, but around the world, he wrote. Ramaphosa said South Africa was one of only 5 countries on the African continent able to manufacture vaccines, and that there was a need for new capacity to be built.
Now, Indian coronavirus infections and deaths have held close to record daily highs, increasing calls for the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lock down the world's second most populous country.
Police in Bangalore patrolled the streets on Monday, stopping vehicles, checking IDs, and even herding and whacking lockdown violators. Many states across India have imposed their own lockdown rules to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is yet to announce a nationwide lockdown despite mounting calls for one. India reported 3,754 deaths on Monday. That's down slightly from peak numbers reported the day before, though some experts say actual figures could be far higher. On Monday, U.S. company Eli Lilly & Co. said it signed licensing deals with Indian drug makers to make and sell its arthritis drug, baricitinib, for the treatment of COVID patients. Meanwhile, medical relief continued to pour in from other countries around the world. Crowds of people queued to get vaccines at a centre in Punjab, but calls for social distancing went out the window. Dr. Jasmine is the centre manager.
हमने तो पुलिस भी बुलाई है social distance maintain करने के, but people they are not listening to us, and we are saying continuously from the morning कि please social distancing maintain करो.
India is the world's largest vaccine-producing nation, with the Serum Institute of India having mass-produced the AstraZeneca vaccine. But as of Sunday, the country had fully vaccinated just 2.5% of its population, over 34.3 million people, according to government data. Delhi's health minister said his city was running out of vaccines, the NDTV news channel reported, saying they have just 3 to 4 days of supplies of AstraZeneca's vaccine remaining.
The B1617 variant of COVID-19 was found in India last October seemed to be transmitted more easily than the original version of the virus. The World Health Organization said the variant first identified in India last year was being classified as a variant of global concern.
our virus evolution working group and our epi teams and our lab teams internally, there is some available information to suggest increased transmissibility of B1617. There is a preprint that is out. So this is a paper that has not undergone peer review, and it's of a limited number of patients suggesting that there is some reduced neutralization. And as such, we are classifying this as a variant of concern at the global level.
It is Monday, 10 May 2021. My name is Christian Lindmeyer.
What we know now is that the vaccines work, the diagnostics work, the same treatments that are used for the regular virus work, so there's really no need to change any of those. And in fact, people should go ahead and get whatever vaccine is available to them and that they're eligible for.
We're still in a perilous situation. The spread of variants, increased social mixing, the relaxation of public health and social measures, and inequitable vaccination are all driving transmission. Yes, vaccines are reducing severe disease and deaths in countries that are fortunate enough to have them in sufficient quantities. And early results suggest that vaccines might also drive down transmission. The shocking global disparity in access to vaccines remains one of the biggest risks to ending the pandemic. High and upper middle income countries represent 53% of the world's population, but have received 83% of the world's vaccines. By contrast, low and lower middle income countries account for 47% of the world's population, but have received just 17% of the world's vaccines.
And away from all of that, when we return, suspended ANC official claims of unfair treatment. Details when we return. Stay with us. Into other parts of Africa, the Congolese judiciary has requested the lifting of a parliamentary immunity on former Prime Minister Augustin Matata Ponyo. Ponyo, who was PM of the DR Congo between 2012 and 2016, has been implicated in a case of embezzlement of public funds. A senior magistrate of the prosecutor's office near the Court of Cassation told journalists on Monday that there are serious indications of his involvement in the embezzlement intended for the agro-industrial park, located 250 kilometers southeast of Kinshasa. In November, the General Inspectorate of Finance concluded in a report that $205 million of the $285 million disbursed by the Treasury for a pilot agro-industrial park project in the locality of Bukanganzozo has been misappropriated. Now, the Secretary General of South Africa's ruling ANC, who has been suspended by the party over corruption charges, told the state broadcaster that he is not going anywhere and claims of unfair treatment. Magashule is one of the ANC's top 6 officials and runs day-to-day affairs in the party that has governed South Africa since the end of apartheid. He is a key rival of President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is trying to stamp his authority on the divided party before a leadership contest next year. Magashule has been charged with corruption over a contract to audit homes with asbestos roofs when he was premier of the Free State Province. 35 Ethiopian peacekeeping soldiers were flown from Darfur in western Sudan to a refugee camp near the border with their country after they sought asylum in Sudan. The troops are among a group of 120 peacekeepers from a joint African Union United Nations mission that is withdrawing from Sudan's Darfur region, who sought international protection these months before they were due to be repatriated. A UN spokesman said most were from the Tigray region, where fighting erupted in November between Ethiopian federal forces and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Ethiopia's military spokesman did not respond to a request for comment about the peacekeepers. Now, Chad's military has claimed victory in its weeks-long battle with northern rebels that led to the death of President Idris Deby on the front line. The rebel group, Front for Change and Concord in Chad, did not respond to a request for comment on the military's claim on Sunday. Now, the transitional military authorities have previously said they have defeated the rebels only for fighting to continue.
Chad soldiers were greeted with cheers as they returned to the capital in N'Djamena on Sunday. The military says it had defeated northern rebels following weeks of fighting. It was in those clashes that President Idris Deby was killed, after which a military council assumed power. On Sunday, the military displayed prisoners and vehicles from the Front for Change and Concord in Chad for the media. Abaka Abdul Karim Dawood is the Chadian Army's Chief of General Staff.
We brought back war prisoners and their gear. We cleaned up all the areas where they infiltrated, and I can guarantee that the whole territory is secured. We ask the people to return to their normal occupations and enjoy regained peace. Our country is secured, thanks to God.
However, this is not the first time that the transitional military authorities have declared victory, only for fighting to then continue. The rebel group, which crossed the border with Libya in April, says it was not aware of an end to fighting. A spokesman said they would comment when there was reliable and credible information. Deby's death in a battle against rebels plunged Chad into crisis. The military council led by Deby's son took power and promised an 18-month transition to elections. But opposition politicians and civil society groups have denounced the takeover as a coup. On Saturday, security forces fired tear gas to disperse a protest against the military takeover.
Meanwhile, the new leader of Chad is in neighboring Niger, where he has had a one-on-one meeting with the president weeks after being appointed. General Mohamed Deby Itno was installed as leader of Chad Transitional Military Council after his father, President Idris Deby, died from battlefield injuries while fighting rebels close to the Libyan border. On Monday, General Deby Itno thanked President Mohamed Bazoum for a warm welcome, calling him his brother. Both Chad and Niger are among the Western-backed G5 countries fighting Islamist militants in the Sahel region. Now, an alliance of several South Sudanese rebel groups say it is boycotted the latest round of peace talks after accusing the state of killing one of its senior officials. The South Sudan Opposition Movement Alliance did not sign up to the peace deal, which ended 5 years of civil war and led to the formation of a unity government last year. Peace talks, organized by the Roman Catholic Church, were due to begin over the weekend in Rome. A UN migration official says at least 5 people, including a woman and a child, drowned when a boat carrying at least 45 Europe-bound migrants capsized off Libya. The wreck was the latest disaster in the Mediterranean Sea, involving migrants seeking a better life in Europe. A spokeswoman for the International Organization for Migration, Safa Mseli, said the wreck took place on Sunday. She said fishermen rescued 40 migrants and returned them to the shore. Mseli said the boat was among 9 others carrying more than 700 migrants intercepted on Sunday by the Libyan Coast Guard off the coast of the North African country. And outside Africa now, Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip have fired rockets towards the Jerusalem area and southern Israel on Monday, carrying out a threat to punish Israel for violent confrontations with Palestinians in Jerusalem. The Gaza Health Ministry said 9 Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrikes in the Palestinian territory after the barrages against Israel. Now, the Israeli military issued no immediate comment on any action it had taken in the enclave.
More than 300 people were hurt in violent clashes between Israeli police and Palestinian protesters as Israelis celebrated Jerusalem Day on Monday, and the Israeli military suspended a major training exercise, citing what it called possible escalation scenarios. Israeli police fired tear gas, stun grenades and rubber bullets at hundreds of Palestinians hurling rocks outside the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Video from inside the mosque showed scenes of wounded worshippers being carried away amid loud blasts. Azmi was among the crowd.
We were praying in the mosque. Suddenly the soldiers vacated the mosque without any alert. They started to shoot the bombs. It's amazing. This is a praying place, not for fight.
CCTV footage showed Palestinians pelting an Israeli car with rocks. The driver was badly wounded. Palestinians accused him of deliberately ramming into them. Police say he lost control of the car. Meanwhile, after an ultimatum for Israeli forces to stand down at 2 flashpoints, Hamas fired rockets into Israel in an apparent response. Palestinian medical workers later reported Israeli strikes hitting Gaza with casualties. Al-Aqsa Mosque is sacred to both Muslims and Jews, but it's been a focal point for violence over the holy month of Ramadan. One of the issues fueling the anger is the planned eviction of Palestinian families from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood by Jewish settlers. Jerusalem Day is the annual celebration of the capture of parts of the city during the 1967 Middle East War.
Or staying with the Middle East, a bomb has blown up a bus in Afghanistan, killing at least 11 people and wounding dozens, the latest in a series of deadly blasts that has come as foreign forces withdraw. The roadside bomb exploded late on Sunday in the southern province of Zabur, the provincial governor's spokesman, Gul Islam Liad, announced.
Injured by yet another bomb blast in Afghanistan. A hospital in Kandahar treated dozens of wounded, including women and children, after a bomb blew up a bus. Officials say at least 11 people were killed. Ahmed Massoud is just a young boy. He says the bomb exploded just as the vehicle he was in approached a checkpoint and that many people died. The roadside bomb exploded late on Sunday and is just the latest in a series of deadly blasts that has come as foreign forces withdraw. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, and Taliban insurgents did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Early on Monday, a blast hit a minibus in a province just north of the capital, Kabul. That attack killed at least 2 people and wounded 9. Violence has been rising sharply in recent weeks after the US announced it would withdraw all of its troops by September.
Now, U.S. President Joe Biden says there is no evidence so far that Russia was involved in the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. Biden said the U.S. government was initiating a partnership with the private sector to mitigate blows inflicted by ransomware and other cyber attacks on the nation's infrastructure.
He is working directly with Colonial to get the pipelines back online and operating at full capacity as quickly and safely as possible. The FBI also is engaged to assess and address this attack. The agencies across the government have acted quickly to mitigate any impact on our fuel supply. And over the weekend, at my direction, the Department of Transportation issued an emergency order to loosen restrictions on truck drivers in order to allow more fuel to be transported by a tanker. We're prepared to take additional steps depending on how quickly the company is able to bring its pipeline back to full operational capacity. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has determined Colonial's network was infected by ransomware, and it's a criminal act, obviously. FBI released details of the attack so others can take steps to prevent being infected. My administration takes this very seriously. We have efforts underway with the FBI and DOJ, Department of Justice, to disrupt and prosecute ransomware criminals. And my administration will be pursuing a global effort of ransomware attacks by transnational criminals who often use global money laundering networks to carry them out. My administration is also committed to safeguarding our critical infrastructure, much of which is privately owned and managed like Colonial.
Up next on News Now, a Senate panel probes ministries, departments, and agencies over 3 trillion naira unremitted revenue. And that's on business news after the short break. Stay with us.
Thanks for joining us for the business news. I am Annetta Felix. The economy option for Uber, popularly referred to as UberX, has been increased by 13% in Lagos State. An electronic mail message from the ride-hailing firm to its drivers stated that the increment would start from Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. Uber said the increase was to ensure a reliable earning opportunity for driver partners. Earlier, Uber and Bolt's drivers under the aegis of Professional E-Hailing Drivers and Partners Association declared a strike in April in Lagos, seeking an upward review of e-cab fares to reflect the current economic realities. They also wanted both companies to reduce the commission charged on rides from 25% to 10%. The e-cab operators demanded adequate welfare package for drivers and compensation to the families of those that lost their lives or are permanently disabled in the line of duty. The Senate Committee on Finance says some ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, failed to remit over 3 trillion naira to the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the federal government between 2014 and 2020. Chairman of the committee, Solomon Adiola, said the unremitted revenue may have been trapped with the MDAs or spent on frivolous expenditures. According to him, non-remittance of revenue is contrary to the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007. He spoke at the ongoing investigation of remittances of revenue by MDAs and payment of 1% stamp duty on contracts between 2014 and 2020. He noted that since the commencement of the investigation, some agencies had compiled and complied in paying back millions of naira with receipts from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Ether, the world's most popular utility crypto, broke above $4,000 in the early hours of Monday and keeps soaring high after passing the all-important resistance level on many crypto exchanges barrier, including the FTX exchange. Such a milestone comes barely a week after it breached above the 3,000 price level. At the time of this report, Ether traded at $4,115.72 with a daily trading volume of $53.5 billion. Ethereum is up 3.85% for the day and is presently the second most valuable crypto asset by the market value of $476.7 billion. Crypto pundits argue that the leading altcoin has attracted a new wave of institutional investors in credence to its recent approval of 3 Ethereum exchange-traded funds in North America. Airbus has appointed a senior internal supply chain executive to run its Canadian operation. The responsibility of this executive is to trim losses on the A220 jetline series. It's the latest in a series of management changes in the European Aerospace Group. 48-year-old Benoit Schultz will take over on September 1st from Philippe Bauducci, a former finance executive who became the first head of the Canadian venture when Airbus bought the C-Series jet program from Bombardier in 2018 and renamed it A220. Schultz is currently a senior vice president in Airbus procurement, which runs its global supply chain. The Canadian-designed A220 with 110 to 130 seats and a modern lightweight design has seen a boost in sales under Airbus after its development took a heavy financial toll that helped trigger Bombardier's near-total exit from the aerospace market. That's it in business news. Thanks for watching. I am Annetta Felix.
And in entertainment, frontline music company Maven Records is 9 years old. The record label, which was founded by producer and philanthropist Don Jazzy, is home to a number of big talents including Korede Bello, Johnny Drill, Arya Starr, Crayon, and Rema. Reeling out some of the company's achievements, the label chief's operating officer, Tega Ogenedrobo, stated that its artist songs have recorded over 2 billion streams later, $4 million in sales, and a multi-million-dollar investment by Ku Pandas Holdings. Ogenebo also stated that regardless of these achievements, the team remains as inspired as ever. He said 2020 is the year that they would consolidate on the legacy while charting a new route for the future of Afrobeats. To celebrate its 9th anniversary, the record label announced the Mavin Future 5 initiatives, which seeks to mentor 5 new business enthusiasts and groom them to occupy salient positions in the industry. Nigerian actor Samuel Ajibola had ended his 10-year journey on top television series The Johnsons. The actor, who was popular for playing Spiff, a comic character in the African Magic series, announced his exit from the show in a video shared on his Instagram handle. On the reason for his exit, Ajibola revealed that it was a bid to discover newer opportunities for growth. The series was produced by Roger Ofem and directed by Charles Inoje. The Johnsons is currently one of the longest-running TV shows. It stars Chinedu Eke Dize, Ada Ame, Olumide Oworu, Susan Poajok, Seun Adebajo Oseg Besson, and veteran actor Kunle Bam Tefa and Inoje. Take a look.
Hey guys, how are you doing? So I have an important message to bring to the general public. For about 10 years now, I have sacrificed my time, dedicated my life, as well as all of the God-given creativity within me to serving the Spiff character on the Johnsons television series, which undoubtedly for me has fulfilled its purpose in bringing entertainment, happiness, and joy to the African continent, as well as also bringing therapeutic healings to the bodies and minds of our people from several testimonies I've heard. But as we all know, nothing lasts forever, and everything that has a beginning definitely has an ending. And as tough as this decision has been for me to make in the past few years, the time has finally come for me to move on and grow into other purposes as I am in search of new challenges and other ways to entertain our people through other various projects. I would like to thank the producers of the show for allowing me to showcase one of the many sides of my limitless creative talent, as well as all of the fans who have given me fulfillment in enjoying that character. But most importantly, I would like to state that my loyalty belongs to MultiChoice. What this means in general is that I have not quit acting. It only means I'm making more time to be able to fulfill other purposes and to do other things. Thank you, and God bless.
Away from the local scenes now onto the foreign, British band Coldplay chose an out-of-this-world way to mark the release of their latest single, Higher Power. They did that this Friday by beaming up into space. The rock group, known for hit songs Paradise and Viva La Diva, linked up with the International Space Station ISS to speak with French ESA astronaut Thomas Pesquet about life in space. They also shared a recorded outdoor performance of their new song featuring colorful alien holograms dancing to the tune to Pesquet, who played it on board in the ISS. Coldplay will open next week's Brits Award, Britain's pop music honors, with a performance of Higher Power on the River Thames near the ceremony's O2 Arena venue in London. Tech entrepreneur Elon Musk has revealed he has Asperger's syndrome while appearing on the US comedy sketch series Saturday Night Live. The 49-year-old told viewers he was the first person with Asperger's to host the long-running program to loud cheers from the audience. People with Asperger's interpret the environment around them differently to other people. It is thought to be the first time Mr. Musk has spoken about his condition. The tech boss was guest hosting the sketch show, a coveted role that he has filled by an array of celebrities since SNL's inception in the 1970s. This includes Adele, Chris Rock, Ringo Starr, and Will Ferrell, and a host of others. Some people on social media, however, questioned his claim. They pointed out that the comedian Dan Irecord, who has spoken publicly about his experience with Tourette's and Asperger's syndrome, has previously hosted SNL. Now, finally, in entertainment, actor Scarlett Johansson has joined criticisms of the body behind the Golden Globe Awards over how it plans to tackle discrimination. Golden Globe organizers, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, HFPA, has been accused of a lack of diversity and shadowing workings. Earlier this week, the body voted to reform and widen its membership. But Ms. Johansson is among stars and industry figures who say it still needs fundamental reform. The Golden Globes are second only to the Oscars in terms of profile, but organizers have been accused of discriminatory practices, accepting freebies and other unethical lapses. In February, an expose in Los Angeles Times revealed that there were no black people among the organization's 87 members who vote for the award. Well, that's how we wrap up entertainment news. The best in sports is coming after this. My name is Ifeomai.
And now sports. The Nigerian Table Tennis Federation NTTF has staked 4.5 million naira for the 2021 National Championship taking place on May 18th, 2022 at the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall of Testing Balogun Stadium. According to the breakdown of prize money for the 5-day tournament, winners in men and women's singles events will earn 250,000 naira each, while under 20 and cadets championship cutting 100,000 naira and 50,000 naira each. Now, winners in team and doubles events will get 200,000 naira and 100,000 naira each, while quarterfinalists in each event will earn a minimum of 50,000 naira each. Also, a national technical crew will represent and identify talents that will be invited to the national camps in junior and senior categories. 12 events will be contested by the players in the cadets, under 20, men, women, and veteran divisions. Delicate negotiations are going on between the British government, European soccer's governing body UEFA, and others about whether Champions League finals should be played. Senior British Minister Michael Gove said on Sunday, May 9th, the final scheduled for May 29th will be between two English clubs, Manchester City and Chelsea. It was due to be played in Istanbul, but that was thrown into doubt after the British government placed Turkey on its travel red list, making it all but impossible for British fans to attend.
Will the Champions League final be able to be held in England rather than in Turkey?
Talks are ongoing. Oliver Dowden, the Culture Secretary, is talking to UEFA and others about that. I think it would be a really good thing, but I don't want to cut across the conversations that Oliver is having.
Pep Guardiola vowed that his Manchester City side will be ready to compete in the Champions League final against Chelsea. Premier League champion-elect were made to wait for the title after losing to Blues on Saturday, a second consecutive loss against Thomas Tuchel's men. The two sides will go head-to-head in the Champions League showpiece, and Guardiola insisted the recent results will have no bearing on the game's outcome.
I'm sure the final Champions League will be ready to compete and play the best game as possible. So now, when FA Cup and Carabao Cup is over, so we have to focus in win the Premier League. So we still have to make a point. So when you have the points, you have to be champion. After that, the champion is Liverpool. But still, we are not. The people since 1 or 2 months ago said it's already done. No, we have to go against Leicester, win away. We have to go Aston Villa, win away. We have to Crystal Palace, win away. So we have to do what you have to do. And we did it. So we have the position that we have, and we're going to try the next 3 games that we have to try to, to win the Premier League. And after, it depends the day it's happened, and we're going to prepare the Champions League final.
Thomas Tuchel believes Chelsea have what it takes to win the Champions League. Tuchel's side have now beaten their final opponents twice in recent weeks. Thomas Tuchel claims Chelsea will prepare for the Champions League final in the true belief they can beat Manchester City. Tuchel's side have now beaten their final opponents twice in recent weeks following Saturday's 2-1 Premier League victory at the Etihad Stadium. The London outfits were also triumphant when the side met in the FA Cup semi-finals at Wembley last month.
I said before that it will not change too much, no matter what result comes out of this game here, and I stick with it. But surely it's not a disadvantage for us to have this experience now in such a short time, to have the possibility to beat them twice. We know very well that if you play a final, the context is very special, and again you need to fight for every centimeter and for every advantage that you maybe can win this little advantage to win the game again. But yeah, it gives us the true belief. It gives us the genuine belief that we can do it, and because we already did it. And we will arrive in Istanbul. We will try to conserve this feeling and this momentum for our arrival in Istanbul, because we arrive in Istanbul with a clear target and the clear objective to win. And the best way to play a final is self-confident, and I think we can conserve these feelings from these 2 matches.
Japan's Naomi Osaka stated that while she has spent her entire life waiting to compete at the Olympics, the risks of holding the Tokyo Games amid the raging COVID-19 pandemic should continue to be currently discussed. Opinion surveys have shown that most Japanese oppose holding the Games this summer due to worries about the coronavirus, and Tokyo itself is currently under a state of emergency to tame a risk in infections. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga promised to fast-track the government vaccination drive, saying it aimed to administer 1 million shots a day. Osaka, who at the age of 23 has won both the US Open and Australian Open twice, said she had already been vaccinated against COVID-19 and added that it would not be right to force people to get inoculated.
Yeah, for me, I feel like, of course, I would say I want the Olympics to happen because I'm an athlete, and that's sort of what I've been waiting for my entire life. But I think that there's so much important stuff going on, and especially the past year, I think a lot of unexpected things have happened. And for me, I feel like if it's putting people at risk and if it's making people very uncomfortable, then it definitely should be a discussion, which I think it is as of right now. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just an athlete, and there's a whole pandemic going on, so yeah.
Serena Williams admitted that she just really thought much about whether she will travel to Tokyo for the rescheduled Olympics in July. 39-year-old, speaking at a press conference in Rome on Monday, hinted that if she was unable to travel to Tokyo with 3-year-old daughter Olympia, she would not go. Williams is in Rome to play her first match since the Australian Open semi-final exit in February, but the American does not feel unprepared for the WTA 1000 event, having had enough practice beforehand. The French Open begins at Roland Garros later this month and has been the last rewarding of the 4 majors for Williams, who won the last of her 23 Grand Slam titles at the Australian Open in 2017 before giving birth to Olympia.
I haven't really thought much about Tokyo because it was supposed to be last year and now it's this year, and then there's this pandemic, and there's so much to think about, and then there's the Grand Slams, and it's just a lot. So I'm really been taking it one day at a time to a fault, and I definitely need to figure out my next moves. I trained for the past 2.5 weeks at Patrick's Academy, and then training a lot on the clay in the United States with team members, and Mackie came back, and other people joined, and that was really exciting for me. And so we had an intense, several weeks of training, and very intense. I feel good, I feel like I'm good. I'm in Rome. I'm gonna have a some good matches here, hopefully, and then I'll be, at another Grand Slam, which is always makes me excited. So I think either way, I'll be ready.
And that's all from the world of sports. My name is Wally Scott. Do have yourself a peaceful night rest.
In sports news wraps it for us on Plus News now. But just before we go, here is a recap of our major stories. We told you that the federal government has reintroduced COVID-19 restrictions and has showed bans, recreational centers and limited public gatherings. We also told you that Ethiopian UN peacekeepers have been moved to refugee camp after seeking asylum. And we brought you a report that President Biden said he saw no evidence of involvement by Russian government in pipeline hack. And that's the news now. For more updates, follow us on Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.